Welcome, everybody. I'm Jeff Finkle, CEO of the Arcview Group. And today we have our Arcview Access program, our CEO Circle, where I'm joined by Arcview's incredible alliance partner, Wurk. That's Wurk with a U, not an O. So our CEO Circles are really a chance to learn more about the ever-changing cannabis industry from reliable resources that make the industry a success, companies such as Wurk. So this will be a one-on-one interview with Wurk's Chief Revenue Officer, Evan Augustine, to learn about the industry, challenges, successes, uphill battles, because we've all had them, his personal advice, and lessons learned along the way. But let me start off by introducing you to the Arcview Group for those that are joining us for the first time. Our organization has been around for over 12 years and has evolved quite a bit over that time, as has the industry in general. So Arcview is an integrated services firm. We operate 3 subsidiaries: Arcview Capital, our FINRA licensed broker-dealer providing investment banking services, and now with a crowdfunding portal about to go up, to the cannabis, psychedelic, and industrial hemp industries. Arcview Consulting. Arcview Consulting is a consulting firm that provides license pursuit and growth practices for emerging companies in the industry. Arcview Ventures. This is our principal investing group that's run by myself and Gene Sullivan. And our first fund underneath Arcview Ventures is the Arcview Collective Fund, which is a uniquely structured member-driven fund with 78 member LPs that make the decisions on how the fund runs and which companies we invest in. We've made 15 investments in Arcview Ventures, and soon we're going to be launching a new fund pocket. It's a little larger, that will take slightly larger bites, that won't be member managed, it'll be more professionally managed by us at the Arcview Group. Now, to succeed at this, right, we have to leverage our thought leadership through a series of content, right? So digital content, we do town halls where we explore the nuances of the cannabis programs on a state-by-state basis, and our Arcview Access series where we explore topics that are important to the industry. And a component of that are these CEO circles where we explore the war and peace stories of C-level executives and entrepreneurs. And soon, hopefully, we'll be back producing live events. So let's move forward. Let me now introduce our good friend, Evan. Evan, tell us a little bit about yourself, about Wurk, and about your position as Chief Revenue Officer. And after that, we'll just dive in with some questions.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the interview. I'm Evan Augustine, Chief Revenue Officer here at Wurk. I have spent my entire career in human capital management, workforce management, consulting, and sales. I actually worked for a company called Kronos, now known as Ultimate Kronos Group, for about 11 years, both nationally and internationally, specifically in the retail, hospitality, and dining vertical, which I'll get to a little bit later. I had a very unique opportunity to move to Sydney, Australia, where I was for 3 years, helping build out the retail hospitality practice there all throughout the APAC region, specifically selling to large enterprise clients, 50,000 to 150,000 employees across the globe. So a really, really good time. But what I can say is I took a 6-month sabbatical to really figure out what I wanted to do next. And when I moved back from Australia, lo and behold, the cannabis industry was taking off like wildfire. And, I found an opportunity with Wurk to become the VP of sales. I built that entire sales organization, business development organization. And now I'm the Chief Revenue Officer. I've been in that role for about 10 months now. So far, 2 years, 4 months in the cannabis industry. And as everybody knows in cannabis, it's like dog years. So it feels like 14.
Yeah, and a lot's happened in that period of time, of course. So other than economic opportunity, what else sort of helped drive the decision or lead you to the cannabis industry? I mean, for me, it really was the economic opportunity of an emerging industry that, I felt there was sort of an arbitrage between professional investors and angel investors, an opportunity to get in early. But what above the obvious economic opportunity drove you to this industry?
So what really drove me to this industry was how many times in our lifetime can we say we get to join a brand new industry and be a trailblazer of that to take it to the next level. At the time it was kind of considered a startup industry, but now we're in that growth phase and expanding. A good late friend of mine and dear friend, Keegan Peterson, the CEO and founder of Wurk, who founded the company over 6 years ago. I've known him well over 20 years. So when I was exploring the opportunity, he found that I was back on the street, and he had been headhunting me for about 3 years. And it was just the right time for me. It was the right time for him and Wurk and the company and the industry. And I decided to hop on board and, help him build the company.
Good for you. Good for you. Tell us a little bit more about Wurk. So, the best companies, I think, find a problem space that's not being addressed, and then envision a differentiated solution to address that space. Give me some insight about how Wurk got started. Tell us the backstory of Wurk.
Yeah, so that's an awesome question. So Keegan, he had friends that were in the industry, growers, manufacturers, dispensary owners, you name it, here in Denver, Colorado. Keegan and I actually worked at Kronos together. Worked at the same company. His friends were having issues with payroll. They're literally running around with hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash in their car, going to people's doors, the employees' doors, paying them in cash, counting dollars and dollars, Brinker trucks full of money going to the banks. And he just thought, he goes, this is not fair. There's got to be a better way. This is dangerous. So Keegan, with this visionary mindset, he said, well, I'm going to start lobbying in DC. I'm going to start lobbying here in Colorado, and really started working on those banking relationships here locally to figure out, can we really do this? Well, that's where Wurk was founded. He founded Wurk and created the banking relationships, the money movement relationships, and brought a software to the industry that is a full suite human capital management, workforce management, payroll solution. And what that means is HR, hiring, onboarding, time and attendance, how you actually clock in and out of work every day, scheduling, having the right person in the right place at the right time, offboarding, payroll, at the end of the day, paying the employees of the cannabis industry.
So here's what I'm wondering, and I think that maybe some of the viewers would be wondering too. These functions are provided in general industry already by some pretty well capitalized companies. What specifically about the cannabis industry makes it difficult, that sort of requires a company that can focus on it solely? What are the problems unique to cannabis that sort of gave birth to Wurk and gave Wurk this opportunity?
Yeah. So some of those mainstream providers out there, like the ADPs, the Cronoses of the world, the Ceridians, they don't want to touch this right now. It's still federally illegal. They did not want to get in the space. And nobody really wanted to sink their teeth in to figure out the banking and money movement compliance aspect of this, something which Keegan did. It was costly at the time, 6 years ago, to get banking partners, et cetera. Good news is that the economies of scale are now here, but also we've tailored the software to really focus on what cannabis industry operators care about, especially CFOs, like 280E compliance and tracking. The turnover in the industry is very, very high. People come, people go. So having an applicant tracking system that can really find those quality candidates, get them onboarded quickly, and get them on the floor doing customer-facing activity and being productive. So we've tailored the solution to really make it specific to cannabis, which our cannabis operators love. But really that hard work, blood, sweat, and tears at the very beginning to set up the operation to be able to pay the people of the industry is what Keegan differentiated himself doing.
So the applicant tracking part, was that a core part initially of Wurk, or is that something that was then added on as Wurk progressed and found its product market fit?
No, it's definitely a core part at the very beginning as well. Mm-hmm. And I think the beautiful thing about Wurk is, there's a lot of software companies out there that provide, best in class or individual solutions or items. Wurk truly is a one-stop shop for the entire ecosystem of the employee experience and the operator experience. No one else is doing that. Typically, companies have to go acquire another company, bolt it on with a Band-Aid or a paper clip. It's not truly integrated. It's not real-time information. The reporting is not real-time, which is what executives want. We can provide that to our organizations that partner with us.
Yeah, it's always sort of an internal struggle for software companies on how narrow they start with, how they identify a point of pain, come up with a very narrow solution that addresses that point of pain in such a unique and novel way, own that clearly, and then expand into related spaces. There's great examples of that all through time. I mean, even thinking back to Microsoft, right? Microsoft, if you had a chip and you wanted to program in assembly language really, really hard, so they made a tool for that. It was a very small market, right? But boy, people at that problem felt it deeply. And then, of course, from there, they got into program languages, operating systems, applications, and so forth. So I'm always interested, and that's why I asked the question on what the core part of the pain point was, and then where you took adjacent ground. But I think you gave a really good answer there. So one of the other things that, if I put my investor lens on, that I think about is, I understand the problems in cannabis and why Wurk is successful. You want to see other competitors addressing the same problem in cannabis. I'm sure there are some. Maybe you could just sort of give us a sense for what differentiates you in this particular market from potential competitors in this particular market.
Yeah.
Rather than those that don't serve the market.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. There are competitors, what I like to call the ankle biters, who are now just getting started. There are the big guys that are trying to come in, like Paychecks of the world. And what's interesting is we're seeing that. And look, I'll be the first to say we've actually lost some deals to Paychecks. However, those deals we've lost are already coming back to us. They have fallen on their face, and they've fallen on their face hard, because cannabis, our customers are moving a million miles an hour. They're rapidly expanding, merger and acquisition strategy. Their people, they're constantly changing. So our ability to adapt and provide that exceptional customer experience and service, which took us a long time to get to too. To say that we have not learned through trial and tribulation along the way would be an understatement, but we've already made those mistakes. And now we get to continue to invest in our people, process, and our technology, and really take it to the next level. So I think that's very unique about us. And our people have done this time and again. Our implementation services, the ability to provide somewhat of consulting on how to go about your merger and acquisition spree. What's really nice to just take a step back is Wurk. We're very fortunate and blessed to have the customers we have. We now have over 300 cannabis clients on our platform. Nearly 50,000 employees of the cannabis industry are using the platform today. We have 85% of the large MSOs on our platform, the Curaleafs, which are 6,000 employees, Columbia Care, GTI, Shrine Group out of California just went live on Thursday with 2,600 employees. So we partner with the right people, and we also create a community of leaders. We have a customer advisory board twice a year. We bring those name brands in, and we literally tell them what our product roadmap is, the investments that we're making in the future. And we get their feedback right from their mouth and say, hey, here's what we're thinking, but we need your feedback. How should we go about this? And Jushi, Nicole Upshaw, from the Senior Vice President of HR at Jushi, said, there is no one else doing this in this space. Let's keep working on this together, keep building this out. And we had about 7 attendees at our first customer advisory board. We're well over 20 now. So creating that community while providing that technology platform is what differentiates us.
Yeah, that's a best practice, having these corporate councils that feed the product management team. Because look, it's all about nailing customer requirements, right? So all about understanding how customers want to use it, understanding what they're not getting out of it, and having that sort of flow from the customer to the product manager to the dev team. So congratulations on that. I mean, that's really the right way to do it. Listen, everything doesn't go perfectly, right? So would you be willing to share with us some misses, some things that you thought might be important from a product standpoint, that was a near miss, or things that you wish you had earlier. Give us some color on how maybe that corporate counsel has sort of filled in and mitigated those things for you.
Yeah, so I would say that we can continue to invest in additional functionality in our product, make it a little bit easier to use. There's functionality like shift swapping, availability, mobile device on the fly, things like that we're continuing to invest in, because when we first started, all people wanted was, we need to pay our people. Let's get our people paid, hire people, get them on the floor, get them paid. But now these companies are maturing. They're thinking about strategic things, long-term success, forecasting. I want my people in the right place at the right time, at the right cost, doing the right thing, right? What part of my operation can I deduct in taxes? So we're starting to have more higher level conversations. So the good news is we built the foundation for them. So how can we continue to invest to now take their operation to the next level in order to get a competitive advantage in this market to beat their competition? Because what we're seeing now is our large MSOs, they're gobbling up all the small mom and pops. The small business, if they survive and get to what we call our mid-market customers, which are 75 to 200 employees, our sweet spot, and where I think we've missed in the past, to answer your question, is really focusing on that space and taking care of those mid-market clients, because they are the ones to become the next MSO. They are the ones to get acquired, and we need to make sure that we're giving the needs of that mid-market space, if that makes sense.
So yeah, so I was actually, those my next questions, sort of figure out what the sweet spot is. So how do you see that today? Is it that sort of single state operator or dual state operator that has that kind of employee count, or is it the larger MSOs? And look, you've done a great job with the MSOs. You have 85% of them, so you're succeeding. So would it be safe to say that your new sweet spot is that mid-market client?
Absolutely. That's absolutely the space. And our system is very robust. It has a lot of functionality. And some organizations that are just getting started, they might find it a little bit difficult to use, educate, the trainer, you name it. So really, how can we tailor the solution to give them what they need? Some of the things that we need to compete with are, how quickly can we get them live, driving value, getting ROI of their investment? We're a little bit longer from an implementation perspective, but how can we get that quicker? And how can we make it a little bit more cost effective for these smaller organizations so they can get in, get it configured to what they need today, and then talk with them about the foundation we could build in the future on top of it. So that's where we're really focused on investing in.
Yeah, you've got
Our
it.
MSOs are having a lot of success with our solution, but how can we really tailor it to attack that mid-market space and grow that space?
Got it. Understood. Tell me about your customer success department, right? I mean, these are the hidden gems, right? These are, the ability to handle clients. I don't know if the way you're organized, if your onboarding team is the customer success team, or if you bifurcated them, that there's an onboarding team that gets them going, then it's handed off. Tell us a little bit about how that works. Because look, you and I both know, unless, and maybe you do this, unless you start billing the date that they sign, that period of time between signature and implementation is lost revenue, right? So how do you think about that, and how does onboarding work relative to customer success?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because we were growing so fast before that I could say that we might have not made the biggest investments in those types of departments, right? It was all in sales and marketing. Well, as our CEO, Scott Kenyon, said almost 12 months ago now, this year is the year of the customer. We need to be Smokey the Bear and prevent forest fires. Let's continue to invest in our customer base. So we've heavily invested in our customer success team. We've heavily invested in our services and implementation team. So I'll take a step back. Sales, we go out there, close the deal. We do a sales to service handover. The implementation team takes over. They drive that client through the implementation configuration until they go live. And at that point in time, we show them and introduce them to their customer success manager, who manages the relationship from there, of course, with the account executive sales in partnership with that. So we've made big investments in that. And what I can tell you on that investment, it's truly hiring people from outside of the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
People from technology companies like Ceridian, Kronos, and ADP who know software. We have been able to make those investments, pay the premiums that we need to get that top talent, and we brought them in, and our customers are raving about our customer success department now, which what it's all about once they go live, as you know, is retention. How long can we keep that client on the platform and keep them happy?
Yeah, so you're bringing up something very topical, not just to the cannabis industry, but all industry, is, the difficulty in finding good employees, particularly now. I mean, people are leaving jobs and retiring and not working, just leaving the workforce at just incredible rates. How has it been for you in terms of recruiting and solving your open recs for employees to sort of manage your growth?
So the pandemic has hurt a lot of people, as we know, right? However, we saw the positive in what the pandemic brought to us. Originally, we were trying to hire a lot of people out of Colorado and Arizona. Those were the offices. What the pandemic has done, it's allowed us to get top talent from all across the country, opening up our talent pool. It's about 60% out of state versus 40% in state now, and it's continuing to go higher from the out of state. And that's how we've been able to capture that top talent from the pandemic kind of opened that opportunity for us.
Are you in Denver?
I'm in Denver, yes.
Is that a company's headquartered in Denver, right?
Correct, yep.
So you're at least in one of the destinations of pandemic refugees, right?
Exactly.
It's either, Tampa, Austin, or Denver. So
Yep.
that's got to help. I mean, I'm sure that most of your workforce is virtual, but, it's nice to have people nearby, for whether it's formal meetings or impromptu meetings. Listen, I want to ask you to think about a war story. You don't have to answer it right now. We've got a little bit more time and a few more questions, but interrupt me at any point where you got one that you feel like you're willing to tell, because I'm sure, our viewers would just love to hear, these stories are sort of the richness and the fabric for entrepreneurship, and growth and emerging growth companies. All right, let's move on. Listen, I mean, what are we at? 38 states now legal. There's been all kinds of regulatory, I don't know if I'd say progress, initiatives, and not enough progress, I would say. But I do think that we're going to see greater movement. One fact that I've been always aware of is, if you sort of look at the pace of social change over history, if you look at the suffrage movement, if you look at gay rights and gay marriage and prohibition of alcohol, it's always around the time that 2/3 of states approve programs that federal support is not far behind, well past 2/3 at this point. So stuff is going to happen. I'm a believer that 2022, we are going to see safe banking. I think that is going to open up. I don't think repeal of prohibition is going to open up now, but I'm on the short side of the 5-year horizon at this point. I really am. I'm now seeing some bipartisan support, and I do think that, and as each successive state has a success, there's more ammunition with which to get that done. So, the industry is going to evolve quite a bit over the next 5 or 10 years. How is Wurk thinking about it? How is Wurk going to evolve? Do you sort of see owning such a big part of the cannabis industry that one of the mainstream providers will acquire you at a great price and bring additional resources for you to grow and sort of pay to own that vertical? How do you see the company evolving over time as the regulatory landscape improves over time?
Yeah, so what you just mentioned about the bigger players identifying us and wanting that piece of the pie, that's absolutely an opportunity. We've created such a great organization with all the top brands, and we figured it out. So we would just somewhat maybe become another vertical under their umbrella, right? That would probably be the easiest move. But in order for us to continue to grow and evolve, what we're doing primarily is we want to become the Apple computer of the space, right? You can't have an iPhone without an iPhone charger, your earpods, whatever. We have identified strategic partners, other cannabis ancillary businesses, and other technology companies that we are rapidly building integrations with, whether it's 180, 360 integrations, and really making our clientele and our solutions sticky with them. Because once you're humming full steam ahead, you like the solution, the user adoption's there, and you're getting the ROI from it. Nobody wants to change payroll systems or HCM systems. On average, it's 7 to 9 years before somebody will even consider changing that solution. So how
It's
can we make
sticky,
it
right?
extremely sticky
Yeah.
with other platforms, other best of breed platforms?
Right.
So API open system we're working on. It's the stickiness would be the answer to your question.
So do you want to talk about some specific integrations and how they help customers?
Yeah, so one recently that we just launched was our Wurk K program. So it's 401k for the industry through a partnership with IntelliSense. We've also partnered with an organization called Engine, which really specializes in hiring the hourly workforce very, very quickly. So we're identifying other solutions that could bring further value to our solution and to our customers. Also,
Great.
data. Data is king, right? How can you mine it, refine it? We are working right now on how do we get all the data that we have across all of our clients, turnover ratios, pay across all the states, pay equity across the states. We're working on that. We're hoping to have a data solution that our customers are very interested in here in the near future as well.
Great. Understood. What if I had to ask you to pick 3 pieces of advice for companies to navigate the cannabis industry? Maybe you can't tell me 3. If you can tell me 2, that's great. 3 is better. It's okay if you come up with 1 or 2. What would they be? What can help guide companies that are not quite as far along as you are and their management teams for how you have to think about this industry?
Well, I'm going to speak from a sales hat. I think it's very important to be politely relentless in your pursuit of customer acquisition. You need to be extremely patient. These organizations are running around with their heads cut off. You have executives wearing 9 hats. It takes some time to cultivate these relationships. So be patient, politely relentless in your pursuit, and never give up. And once you acquire that client and you make them happy, they become your best friends and they don't want to deal with anybody else after that. So from a sales perspective, and that's what I tell my sales team, head down, power through, endure, and you will conquer with your customer together.
Can you ever be impolitely relentless?
If you're speaking with the right person,
Right.
or Northeast clients in particular.
If you have a special relationship, maybe you can be impolitely relentless.
Exactly.
But it's a slippery slope.
It's a
All right, that's good stuff. Any war story to share?
I'll share a war story that I think is very important. So I mentioned that there's bigger players trying to enter the space. And when I say they're trying to enter, they're trying to buy the space. They're coming in offering $0 implementations, way lower PEPM, way lower fees, just to buy the market. So that's been difficult on us. But I always say the breakup is just as important as the relationship as itself. Stay engaged. They will always come back. So the war story I have is Shrine Group, 2,600 employees, an enterprise client that we've been going after for almost 2.5 years now. We lost to Paychex. They went to Paychex. A year and a half later, they're still not live. They're giving Paychex another chance. Finally, I had to go, how can I change my messaging? How can I get more aggressive? I went on the offense this time around, and I went straight to the president of the company and said, look, it's clear Paychex has not come to the party. You're still not live. You're struggling. You told me about the payroll inflation that you're struggling with. Give us a chance. Here's what we're willing to do. We played their game. We got them to come on board. They went live, and they are already telling us it's night and day difference from what they've experienced before. So we have to put our boxing gloves on, hold our ground, stick to our message, and we will eventually win.
Great. Good stuff, Evan. All right, let's wrap up. I'm going to give you a chance to give me any kind of final comments or thoughts that you have to share with the audience. Just sort of no form or function, just going to leave that to you.
My final thoughts is this is such an exciting space to be in. I still feel we're at somewhat of the humble beginnings. And I feel that people that just stay strong and resilient, they're going to be very, very successful and see the fruits of their labor pay off one of these days. So don't give up. Keep on going.
All right, Evan, thank you so much. So look, let's everybody give Evan an applause here for, sticking it out, developing a good strategy on sales, helping Wurk grow to be the impactful company it is. Evan, again, thank you for joining us. To learn more about Wurk, please visit their website, www.enjoywurk. Remember, with a U, not an O, enjoy, WURK.com. And certainly to learn more about the Arcview Group, please visit our website at arcviewgroup.com. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your trust. And we're committed to bringing additional thoughtful programming to you over time through our Arcview Access program. Have a great day.
Jeff, thanks for your partnership.
You're welcome.